where do we start when it comes to navigating a range of different ideas around how we do this?
Yeah. As a start, let's just go with my life philosophy. It's called life is all about expectations.
Yeah.
The only reason why we would be offended, disappointed, or hurt is because we haven't communicated our expectations, or maybe it's unreasonable, or we just get confused sometimes about what the other person expects. So I'd say, as with anything in life, we need to take time to actually articulate our expectations. And it starts with explaining your personal background, because everyone comes from a different family.
Yes.
When we talk about culture, it's not just ethnic culture, it's not just national culture, it's family culture. So you would have grown up in a certain family culture. Your husband would have grown up in a different family culture. So it's really about bringing those two together and go, is there any common ground? What do we think? We've learned some things as adults. What do we want to see in our family? Those types of conversations are important.
You know what's standing out to me right now? You have to have a certain element of self-awareness to even start.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go, hang on, what are my beliefs here that are making me, yearn for X, Y, Z
Yes.
in this arrangement? Because I think, that takes a bit of soul searching. Like, as a parent, you actually have to sit down and think quietly, how do I want my kids to respond? How do I want to be?
Yes.
What was good about what I was raised in? What was not so great about the way I was raised? And then figure that out first before you go to your spouse and say, hey, this is what I'd like. How about you? Can we meet in the middle?
Yeah, 100%. And I think there are many different things. Like, for example, we talked a couple of weeks ago about certain things like family life conference. You take a weekend away as a couple to, spend time away from everything else, and not plugging them, but, I appreciate the work that they do. And it's about intention. It's about actually going, hey, let's have a date night once a month just to debrief. How's the month gone? Because in this very busy life that we live in, most households are double income, right? Most households have, mum and dad doing various different jobs. On top of that, there's sports. On top of that, there's volunteer things that they do at church, in the community. And on top of that, it's just piles of things. And I think it comes down to intention and priority. It sounds really boring, but actually it does come down to that. And if you can actually put it in your calendar, whether you use Google Calendar or Outlook, just book it in. It sounds non-romantic.
Diarise these strategy meetings as parents.
Yeah.
Okay, without being too negative,
Yes.
what are some warning signs that things aren't quite right in terms of your parenting strategy or the way that you work together?
Yeah. Hey, kids as young as toddlers, they'll go, I'll go to mum and ask for lollies, and mum says, no, I'll go to dad.
Yes.
No one teaches them that. There's no course for toddlers. They just intuitively do that, right?
They're not born manipulators.
Yeah.
They're just opportunists.
Yeah. How do you know there's sin in the world? Well, it just happens. And so I guess it's just really knowing that there's just a tendency, if you're not united, it's like the water gets out in the lowest point and you find the easiest gap to get through. And so kids, they don't intentionally do this, but it's an intuition where they'll go, I'll find the easiest path to get through. And often with parenting, they'll get to the parent that is sometimes at their weak spot. You've had a tough day. You just don't want to have that conversation. They'll go, Mom, can I do this? Or Dad, can I do this? And you're like, oh, go for it. And then you have that conversation with your spouse. And like, did you tell them yes?
And they're like, I don't even remember having that conversation. I was just trying to be left alone.
Right.
I was just so tired. Please leave me alone in my room till I have a nap. Yeah, it is so challenging. And now that I think about it, I actually feel a little bit bad because as a kid, I fully, made the most of the division between my parents in terms of their approach.
Yeah.
I knew that if I wanted bus money, Dad was always up for it, and I get, interest on top. So I'd need $3.20 for the bus ride.
Yeah.
Dad would give me $20.
Yes.
Mum would try and find $2.50 and say, make up the difference with your own change. That's an example of their different approach.
Yeah.
And I must have given them such a headache at the way I was just, wanting my own way. Now, at the time, I wasn't trying to be, a devising person. I wasn't trying to create tension.
Not at all.
But I was just being a teenager. I just wanted my own way. And that's kids, right? They just want their own way. And they don't have the kind of knowledge and social awareness and brain development to see long-term repercussions of what they're doing.
Right.
They don't know that, if they stay up all night gaming for 7 nights in a row,
Yep.
they're going to go completely crazy,
Yep.
in a week's time.
100%.
But we know that because
Yes.
we know that that's not a good thing to do.
Yep.
And kids will just be kids.
Yep.
So what would you say would be the first thing to do if someone is feeling like this is really overwhelming, like I don't even know where to start? Or maybe that person is parenting in a situation where they're a single parent and they're sort of fighting a bit of an uphill battle because they can't actually come together on an agreement.
Yes. I think two different questions, right? One is a single parent, another one with, conventional family. I'd say if you've got a mum and a dad in the home, I think the first step is to have that meeting where you're not, or that catch up where you're not distracted by everything else, and find one area of agreement. Right, you think about 2 different circles, you bring them together. There's a crossover point, like a Venn diagram.
Like one win.
Yeah, just one thing that you agree on, and just practice that for a week, and go, okay, we agree on screen time, or we agree on having lollies before dinner, right? Just whatever insignificant
or not having
thing.
them.
Yeah, and then take the win, right? If you feel like you can agree on a small thing, then you go, okay, what's the next thing? Because I think you only get overwhelmed because when you're trying to boil the ocean, like sort everything out immediately. So find one thing, work on that, then find the next thing. And the thing is that one quick trick, my wife and I often says, have you spoken to dad about that? Or have you spoken to mum about that? And they find that we're impenetrable, because if it's something that we haven't agreed on, the kids can't get through. And then ultimately, mum and dad will have to come together to go, hey, the kids have come to both of us asking about this.
Yeah.
What do we think?
In the other situation, let's say you're a single parent and you're really struggling with this. What would you suggest would be one way to kind of overcome the initial obstacle?
Yeah, firstly, to acknowledge it's really difficult to be a single parent. So I guess for a single parent, if you've got someone else that can help you, another adult, whether it's your mum or dad, or whether it's your brother or sister that can co-parent with you, because, obviously, if you can get that support, you want your support people to be on the same page.
So you need like backup.
Yeah,
Get back up.
Correct. And for them to understand this is what you do in your home with your children, that they don't go to grandparents' house and suddenly all bets are off. They can do whatever they want. It's always good to have conversations to ensure that people that support you in your parenting understand the non-negotiables, right? You don't have to have a whole manual, but it's just like these are the non-negotiables, right? And so, yeah.
Excellent. Well, if anyone else would like to reach out for some coaching or access some of your resources on your webpage, where can they go?
They can go to www.miomo.com, miomo.com. You can get hold of me, you can get free resources and everything else as well.
Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next video.
We'll see you in the next one.